So it's pretty miserable today. I want to do something on the car, but I don't want to get dirty. Let's have a look.
Okay, it feels like it hasn't stopped raining in days now, and I've got a new toy. So let's try and do something on the car that doesn't involve getting dirty hands. Okay, I haven't posted any videos in a while because the car's been running perfectly. Rather surprisingly, nothing has broken on the car for a little bit. So I've just been enjoying driving it. But in the meantime, getting a little bit bored, I thought I'd pick myself up a little OBD2 Bluetooth dongle that sits in the OBD2 port, and then you can do all sorts of things with it. One of them being code your car. There's tons of YouTube videos out there that'll teach you how to do it, but I'm just going to show you some of the things on this police car that doesn't have so many bells and whistles from the factory. Things that we can change. The kind of thing, the one thing that was the main reason I got this was to be able to code my start-stop out so that it defaults to being off, because apart from the fact that I did the timing chain and I don't like the start-stop constantly yanking on my timing chain when I'm in traffic, I just don't like it. I hate stop-start technology anyway. I know, save the planet and all the rest of it. I don't do lots of city driving anyway, but I constantly have to turn it off myself. So let's code it out. And while we're there, let's code other things in as well. Stuff like the angel eyes, the brightness, you can change that. And I like to drive when it's, when the light is, daytime. I like to drive just with the angel eyes on, but the rear ones aren't on. So if you want the rear lights to come on, I have to put either the side lights on or the full headlamps on, which I don't really want to do. So you can code that in, and then you can drive around with your LED tail lights on and your halos up at whatever brightness you want to set it to, because you can change that as well. If you want to code out your seatbelt bongs, you can do that as well. There's a few things that this car won't allow me to do that your car might allow you to do, just because you might have more modules in with your head unit and things like that. But let's just see what I can do. Let's have a little look. So first things first, down in the footwell on the driver's side, I'm going to get your OBD2 dongle. I happen to have the iCar Pro from V-Gate. Don't know if you can quite see, I'm just fumbling around trying to fit the thing in. Push it in and it'll light up because it's powered by the OBD2 port. Let's turn the car on and use BimmerCode, which is an app for your iPhone or your Android. We'll see what we can code. Okay, so I thought I'd give you an example here of BimmerCode, which is the app which will give you loads of options for things you can change with the coding of how your car operates. It's highly recommended, I would say. If you're going to own a fairly modern BMW, it's probably the best 55 quid altogether. The app is about £30 now, and a Bluetooth module, you can pick them up for 25 quid. So yeah, it's a nice, easy mod for you to get involved with if you don't like picking up tools and getting dirty. So once you're into the app here, it'll tell you what modules you've got available to you to go and have a look at and modify. So this is the Bimmer app developers have chosen all of the most common, easy to change functions, and they're presented for you under the ECUs once you've logged in, as you can see there. There is advanced coding, but we won't talk about that now because it's not always as straightforward as it sounds to do the advanced coding stuff. So the very top one there, advanced crash safety module, that's to do with your seatbelt warnings, your bonging and things like that if people haven't plugged their seatbelts in. You can see there a red one, air conditioning, the coding data is invalid. There is a problem with my air conditioning unit. It's been like that since a few months now. I don't know, I'm not really that bothered. The AC works just fine, but some kind of issue with the coding, I don't know. The third one down, the car access system, so that's the CAS module. If we go into that, this was the main reason that I got BimmerCode. was so that I could code out or change the engine start-stop functionality, because it drives me mad. I hate start-stop technology. I know it saves the planet and all the rest of it in loads of traffic, but I don't actually drive in that much traffic. And having spent all the time mending my broken timing chain, every time I start the car, I hate the thought of the forces yanking on my brand new timing chains. So I don't like the start-stop kicking in all the while. So I always turned it off whenever I get into the car, but it's a pain in the arse. You've got to constantly turn the thing off. So let's code it out. So we're into the CAS module here. Top options to do with the iDrive shutting off when you open the door. I've activated that because it's handy. I always found it a bit weird that you open the door and everything is still playing unless you press the button twice. Anyway, second section down is the auto start-stop function. So there's two things you can do here. The first one, if you go and activate that first one, auto start-stop function off by default. I've activated that. That means the function is off by default. That means it's not going to be on. The other way you can do it is to have the function memory. So instead of defaulting it to always being off, you can just use the function memory and it'll just remember how you had it last time. So it would stay in the off position if you just left it that way every time you put the key in. Well, you'd never put any keys in, do you? But when you get in the car. But I just never use it. You know, it'd be a real rarity that I would want the start-stop working. So default to off, perfect for me. Bunch of other things down here like convenient opening, closing. This is all to do with windows and door closing and stuff, door locks. I don't think I changed any of that stuff really. My doors lock automatically once I start driving away, and just because if you do go into any cities for city driving and things, you don't particularly want all your doors open in case anyone decides to carjack you. I won't talk you through every single one of the other modules. It's not immediately obvious what is in each module, so you'll have a little explore and have a look-see and see what's in there. Your car may have more options than other people's. This being a police car, it doesn't have lots of functionality, as in hardware functionality built into it from the factory. So there are limited things I can change. Some of the stuff that people were desperate to change, like their transmission control units, if we go into that one at the bottom, this module here just has a couple of options in it to do with paddle shifting and sports gearboxes. This is already active on this car because it's only got one thing in there, sport automatic transmission. If you haven't got that active, activate it because it speeds up everything to do with the transmission shifting and all that. But this is a very strange car because it's been a police car before. It's a very basic car and doesn't have an awful lot in it, but it does have full M Sport suspension and it does have sport gearbox and all the rest of it. It's not tuned, I don't believe, unless the guy before me tuned it. But apart from that, it doesn't have nav, it doesn't have Bluetooth built into the car and all sorts of stuff that you would expect in a 5 Series. It doesn't have. So it's a bit of a weird car like that. But, yeah, highly recommend it. In fact, just for a bit of fun, let's just go and code something just to show you how it's done. So let's have a look at the instrument cluster and see if there's anything we could just have a little code of there. So it'll read all the coding data for that module. This actually is not a small module, so it might just take a moment to do that. Once it's read all of the coding, it'll create a backup. So every time you go in and view a module and what your options are, the app is creating a backup for you, which is extremely wise, because if you mess anything up and need to go back to it, there's loads of backups always stored within the app there. So get out of jail free card for all of us really, in case we mess anything up, especially if you go into advanced settings and start changing things that you probably shouldn't. There we go. So just for a bit of fun, so in the middle here, the fuel reserve warnings. So this is where it's going to start telling us you need to go fill up. Currently it's set to 30 miles. Oh, what should we do? Should we change it to, I don't know, let's change it to 20 miles. So if we change it to 20 miles, I'll probably change it back. I'm happy with 30 miles, but let's just show you. Once you've chosen that, if you come out of that, we're still within the instrument cluster ECU. You could change other things, but it's advisable to only change one thing at a time, just in case you change some collection of things and it causes a problem and you don't know what the thing is that you change.
So let's change that one thing, and then up in the top right hand corner it says code. Let's go choose that. It'll give us a big important notice about coding and how you shouldn't have things interrupted, and disabling CarPlay and stuff like that. If you read all the stuff before opening the app, you'll know all this stuff anyway. So let's choose start coding. Shouldn't take very long. It'll say preparing coding, then it'll say writing to ECUs, then clearing faults and stuff like that. Oh look, your car will bong. Did you hear that? That's the iDrive telling me there's an update required, and it's giving me bongs and all sorts of stuff. So we're restarting the ECU now. It should all go away and be nice and happy. Although it has actually reset my odometer. Oh, that's a shame. I was clocking up the mileage. There we go, coding successful. I was keeping track of the mileage since the timing chain had been fixed, and we were well over 3,000 miles so far of happy driving since the timing chain was mended. Coding successful. Let's just choose OK. I'm going to stop the engine. Give it a second press to kill the ignition for a second. And I'm going to start it back up again. There we go. I don't know if you can see the dash from there. My warning lights all just went off. Everything's hunky-dory. I may need to reset the time and date because of the module. The instrument cluster is the one that we've just messed with. But normally you don't have to do that. Anyway, I'm going to go change that back to 30 miles just now. Let's come out to there. Let's code it. Start coding. And that's how you do it. Go and change whatever you want. Your angel eyes brightness, your duration of the washer sprays, the interval between the headlight spray. Change anything you like. So I've got my angel eyes now brightness put up to 100%, and I've also activated the rear LED tail lights to come on with my daytime running lights, because I just prefer to use that option of the daytime running lights with the LED lights at the back, and then once it gets dark the actual headlights will kick in. There we go, coding successful. Let's come out of that and stop the car again. Ignition off. Happy days. 100%. Get the app and get yourself a little Bluetooth module. Unless you've got more important things like I had originally to mend on the car, it's definitely something you should have a go at. It's, clean hands. The modification doesn't require a big toolbox and jacking up the car for a change. Coming up soon, I need to do my engine mounts. This is something that I have known for a while needs doing on the car, but I'm going to do 3 things. That's engine mount on the left, engine mount on the right, and the transmission mount at the back. My transmission mount is actually pretty much ripped in half. I noticed this when I had the transmission out when we did the timing chain, but I had bigger fish to fry at that particular point, so I just put it all back. But now it's time to get the engine mounts changed, because I'll show you in the next video. The engine it's a little bit mobile in the engine bay, so we'll get that done and do the transmission mount at the same time and firm up the drivetrain. See you next time.